Welcome to Vancouver, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of CSC, we'd like to welcome you back to the first Canadian Spirit virtual conference. We're live from Vancouver, Canada, at the Allan Kardec Vancouver Society. My name is Luis Felipe Massola, and I'll be your host throughout the third event of the day. If you speak French, this event has simultaneous translation, and you can find the French live feed on the Canadian Spirit Council Facebook page. We would like to greet all Spiritist centers members that are part of Canadian Spirit Council and all those who are gathered together today, throughout the day, to celebrate the Spiritism with us. My friends, we have a full day program for you with speakers from all over Canada, from east to west, introducing everyone to Spiritism. And you can find the full program in CSC's Facebook page. We ask you please to share this event with your friends. Our third lecture of the day is The Spirit World by Thiago Leite. Thiago has been studying Spiritism since 2003. He has an extensive participation at Allan Kardec Vancouver Society, and other than the lectures, he also volunteers on kids classes, studies faculty, fraternal assistance, Ivone do Amaral Pereira project, and Fraternal Soup, among others. Please welcome to Thiago Leite.
Hello everyone. It is with great joy that we are here today, talking to you live from Vancouver at our very first Canadian Spiritist conference. Just letting you guys know, we'll be sharing our eyes with the camera and with the live audience we have in here today. So today we'll talk about the Spirit World, which is the second part of the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec. Should you have any questions on this topic, feel free to send them our way via Facebook, or for the ones who are here watching us live, we will have a few minutes at the end of the lecture for questions and answers. So we'll now talk about the second part of the Spirit's book, known as the Spirit World. This part has a total of 11 chapters, and if we were to approach every single one of these chapters, we would probably spend days, not even days actually, months here just talking and going through each and every one of them, because there is a lot of room for discussion. So please make sure to study after. So our goal today here is to highlight a few points of the second part, leaving to each one of us the responsibility to explore this book further, which, by the way, is one of the fundamental works of Spiritism. So if you're interested in learning more about Spiritism, please do start with the Spirit's book. The codifier of the Spiritist doctrine, Allan Kardec, he was very fortunate in structuring the second part, addressing the definition of spirit, showing us the various evolutionary degrees of them, passing through incarnation, and explaining more of what the spirits do when they're not incarnate, that is, inhabiting a human body. But what are spirits? Starting the second part, Allan Kardec, he asks this question to the spiritual guides, which is question 76 for the ones who are taking notes. We'll be making sure to let you guys know the questions we are mentioning. So question 76 clarifies that spirits are the intelligent beings of creation. They populate the universe beyond the material world, which is this world we are living in. To get things straight, spirit and soul, they are the same thing. They're just different terms for similar things. The difference, according to our spiritual guides, in question 134, is that the soul is an incarnate spirit. And in the following topics, we will understand that the spirits are God's work. According to our spiritual friends, it is like a man who builds a machine, for example. The machine is the man's work, but it is not the man himself. You know that when individuals make nice and useful things, they call it their children, their creation. Well then, it is the same with God. We are God's children because we are products of the divine work. With the Spiritist doctrine, we learn that we are all children of the same Father. We are all related, but we really treat ourselves as family. This question makes us reflect on this point as per Jesus' teachings, that we should love God above all things and our neighbors as ourselves, because we are all connected in this great universal family. But are we there yet? Do we treat our neighbors with respect, our co-workers with humility? This is one of the main points that Spiritism is often inviting us to reflect on. We are spirits, that is, intelligent beings of creation, and we are all over the universe. We are the work of God, our Creator. What happens when we die, though? Does everything come to an end? Spiritism tells us that no, we do not die. We are created immortal. We are not eternal because God is eternal. And if we are eternal, as per question 78, we would not be God's creation. The Father is in constant production, as we've seen in the previous lectures. He never ceases to create spirits. As we see in question 80, however, we will learn that we are not yet able to understand exactly how and at what time we were created. The spirits also tell us that in our eyes, they do not have a form, but for them they do. According to them, we perceive the spirits as a flame, a glow, or even an ethereal spark. What would give that particular shape to the spirit, like the human form? In question 93, we'll see that the spirit is surrounded by a substance that might look vaporous to us, but which is still quite dense to them. It is sufficiently vaporous to be able to raise itself up into the air and travel wherever it wants to go. To this substance, Allan Kardec gave the name of perispirit. According to him, as the fruit seed is surrounded by the perisperma, the spirit per se is surrounded by an envelope, which by comparison may be called the perispirit. The substance, garment, consists of three essential parts according to Spiritism. The first one is the body or material being, similar to that of animals and animated by the same vital principle. Second part, the soul or the incarnate spirit, which inhabits the body. And finally, the third part, the perispirit or intermediate principle, according to our spiritual friends, which serves as the primary envelope of the spirit and unites the soul with the body. A body without a soul would be a simple body without intelligence. We could call it whatever we wanted except a human being. So we understand that we are all spirits inhabiting a material body, even though temporarily. And second, we are all immortal beings. So when the body dies, we let go of it and return to the spirit world. But spirit world, what is it? We oftentimes hear so many stories about that, so many, sometimes even we can call tales about that. But is it like a paradise where you're always listening 24/7 to the sound of harps, playing beautiful songs 24/7 and eating delicious fruits? Where are all these spirits? Is it like a parallel dimension or something? Okay, as much as we have heard several stories on this subject, with the Spiritist doctrine, we learn that the spirit world is just like ours, but much better and much more improved than ours. The Spiritist doctrine came to prove the existence of this world, and we can verify that Allan Kardec's publications, such as the Spirit's book, Heaven and Hell, with so many cases from various spirits sharing their experiences after death, after what we call death, or what Spiritism calls discarnation. So there is a lot of material for us to study on that subject. In question 84, the spirits tell us that there are areas that are destined for these intelligences, that no longer inhabit a material body. In the following questions, our guides tell us that the spirit world is independent from the material one, which is the world we are living in, by the way. So where do we go when we die? It is important to point out, as the question brings us, that spirits are everywhere, and they do not live in a circumscribed region nor localized. In question 149, Kardec asks, what does the soul become at death? To which the spirits replied, it becomes a spirit again. It returns to the spirit world which it had left for a time. So our real home is the spirit world. We leave it for a short amount of time, for like 80, 100 years. It all depends on our evolutionary plan. But we do always return to that world once we are done with our tasks, with the tasks that we have been assigned after planning our reincarnation. So when we're done, we simply leave our body and return to the spirit world. It is important to emphasize, however, that when we discarnate, we do not only return to the spirit world, but we do not return to the universal whole. As per question 150, we preserve our individuality. So we return to the spirit world, our true home, and we continue to be exactly who we are. And we will not listen to the sound of harps playing in idleness. Because in the spirit world, there is a lot of work waiting for us, in learning as well. And thank God for that. Can you imagine how boring it would be just sitting there and just listening to harps playing 24/7 every single day for the whole eternity? So thank God for these opportunities that He gives us every single day since our creation. Thank God for the work that He has assigned to each and every one of us. And thank God for these amazing learning opportunities that we all have. So in question 150b, Kardec asks, does the soul take anything else from this world? The spirits say that nothing more than its memories and the desire to go to a better world. These memories are full of sweetness or bitterness, depending on how the soul has lived its earthly life. The purer it is, the more it'll comprehend the futility of what it has left behind on earth. So we see that if we nourish vices such as guilt, remorse, jealousy, envy, possessiveness, and etc., we'll continue to nurture the same feelings and needs after our body dies. There is no miraculous transformation. So if I'm very attached to things, to my belongings, very attached to my car, to my furniture, to my house, to my bank account, I'll continue to be attached to them. It's not that we simply have to, okay, so I cannot be attached, I cannot possess anything. It's not that. Spiritism invites us to find the balance between matter and spirit. Matter is here, like money, work, material work, cars, possessions in general, family. They're here for a reason, for us to grow, for us to evolve, for us to utilize them for sure, but with moderation. Balance is key, and we learn that with Spiritism. According to the spiritual guides, spirits are everywhere. They populated infinite space and infinite numbers. There are even some who are constantly by our side and acting upon us without us even noticing. This is because spirits are one of the forces of nature and one of the instruments that God uses for fulfilling the providential designs. However, not all spirits can go everywhere because there are regions that are forbidden to those who are less advanced. Interesting. So, according to them, there are several stations for the spirits. However, not all of them are accessible to everyone. So is there any kind of hierarchy which would regulate that? In fact, yes, there is. As per question 96, there are spirits of different orders according to the individual degree of self-purification. These orders are unlimited because there is no line of demarcation between them. Thus, the divisions may be multiplied or decreased at will. If we consider their general characteristics, we may reduce them to three principal orders. So the Spiritist doctrine came up with this order so that we could have an idea of what they look like or an idea on the evolutionary scale. So in the first order, according to the spirits, we may put those who have already reached perfection, which are the pure spirits. And the second one are those who have reached the middle of this scale. Their main concern is the desire to do the good. In the third order are those who are more towards the bottom of the scale, the imperfect spirits. These are characterized by ignorance, the desire for wrongfulness, and the passions that delay their advancement. Kind of sounds familiar here. So where can we find ourselves on this scale? As much as we want to say that we are good, oh, I help my mom do the dishes. Oh, I help my neighbors. Oh, I do this. It's not enough when compared to what a second order spirit would do, for example. That's why it's imperative that we always strive to do our best, as best as we can. So we cannot even have an idea of what a true good spirit is. Although the Spiritist doctrine keeps on sending all those examples, those guides that we often hear or read about, but we need to experience, we need to practice in order to get there, in order to have a better understanding of what real good means. So we still have several moral flaws to be purged from our being. That's why we need to look inside ourselves so that we can work on these flaws. If we look into it, we will still find evidence of pride, selfishness, envy, jealousy, possession, etc., etc., etc. Etc. will do for now, because if we were to list every single one of these flaws and issues, we would probably spend as well a long time here, and we do not want that for now. But it's important that we try at home, or because when we study, we'll start to analyze them. And it's important for us to understand what lives on the inside of us, because sometimes we have no idea. We tend to ignore our faults. We tend to wear masks sometimes and just to pretend, okay, oh, I'm not an envious person. No. Oh, I love everyone. I'm so good. But are we actually? Let us face our real selves. That's one of the invitations that Spiritism does every single time. Whenever we read a book from Allan Kardec, for example, when we read the Gospel according to Spiritism, all those moral teachings that are constantly inviting us to change, right? So it's important for us to list all of these issues, those vices, so that we can work on them, because we have been invited to work in our own perfection, in our own evolution. We learned and we know for a fact that we cannot change the world. We cannot change our neighbors, but we can and we must change ourselves. And that leads us to question 115, which tell us that God has created all spirits simple and ignorant, that is, without knowledge. God has given each one of them a mission. It is aimed at enlightening them and progressively leading them towards perfection through knowledge of the truth in order to draw them near to God. In that perfection, they will find eternal bliss without any troubles. Spirits acquire knowledge by experiencing the trials that God has imposed on them. So we know that we acquire knowledge by experiencing and not by doing nothing. So Spiritism is constantly inviting us to work. And this is not only the material work that we know, it's the work of our betterment, the work of improving ourselves, right? So some of these spirits humbly accept these trials and thus arrive more quickly at their destiny, whereas others cannot endure them without complaining. Thus, through their own faults, these latter ones remain in far from perfection and bliss promised to them. But we all do get the same opportunities. As the spirits were very clear here, it's by our own choice that we simply decide not to follow through with God's plan. We choose our path. So how many times do we complain about things that happen to us, about challenges, about work, about family, about life in general? We tend to complain a lot. And what is that doing to us? What are we accomplishing by complaining all the time, right? We have all been created simple and ignorant. So that through our own effort, we can work on our evolution. We are so imperfect, third-order spirits going through various existences to progress intellectually and morally. So that one day we may arrive at the first order. The only pure, perfect spirit that has ever walked on this planet, that has ever passed through this world, is Jesus. We do have a long way to go. And that's okay, because we do have time. We're still studying. We're still learning as third order spirits that we all are. We have all been created simple and ignorant and go so that we can go through this evolutionary growth. But how about angels, demons that we oftentimes hear about? Regarding the angels, it is important to point out that what we call angels, archangels, seraphim, according to question 128, are the pure spirits, those who are at the highest degree of their hierarchy. They are perfect in every way. And as for the demons, as we can see in question 131, that is purely a human creation. Our spiritual friends say that if there were demons, they would be the work of God. But would God be just and good in creating unfortunate beings that are eternally turned towards evil? If there are demons, they reside on our less evolved world and on other similar ones. They are the hypocritical men and women who portray a just God as a cruel and vindictive one. They are those who imagine they can please God by the abominable behaviors they commit in the divine name. Now returning to the point of being simple and ignorant, because it's important for us to understand that and highlight. How do we go from simple and ignorant to imperfect spirits to pure spirits? We can find the answer to that question in topic 132, which says that God imposes reincarnation for the purpose of leading spirits to perfection. For some, it is an expiation. For others, a mission. Just a note here. Reincarnation for the most of us, it is an expiation indeed, okay? So in order to reach perfection, we must undergo all the trials of corporeal existence. And here we are, going through so many trials and experiences that are really important to us. God would never assign us with a task. He would never give us a trial to us if we were not capable of fulfilling those tasks, without accomplishing them. We are here for a reason, and God knows that. And He knows that we are capable. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have given this opportunity to come back to this world and work in our improvement. Incarnation has a further objective, which is to place spirits in situations where they can do their share of work in the creation. To this end, on each world, they clothe themselves with an instrument, with a body that is in harmony with the essential matter of that world, so that they may use that instrument to carry out the orders of God. In this way, they contribute to the general work and progress at the same time. So we are here on Earth. We are inhabiting a body that is in accordance with this planet, that is made to survive on Earth. The same way a person who lives in a different planet, that person will have a body that is adapted for that environment. Okay? We all need to incarnate to evolve. There are no exceptions in creation. So even the angels that we talked about, they did go through all the evolutionary process that we are oftentimes that we are now going through. So the spirits tell us that in question 133, that we all gain instruction through the struggles and tribulations of corporeal life. Since God is just, God would not make some blissful without them having deserved it through hardship and work. And this is very important. Deserved it through hardship and work, and not through idleness. So we can not sit there and wait for things to happen. Okay? We all get the same opportunities. Therefore, it is up to us to know what we're going to do with them. And whenever we reach a point when our body is no longer useful to us, we naturally disconnect from that body. That is, we discarnate to return to the spirit world. And from there, we start a new chapter, getting ready for the next existence. In question 155, the spirits tell us that the soul gradually disengages itself. It happens gradually. The soul does not, according to our spiritual friends, the soul does not escape like a captive bird that is suddenly set free. These two states touch and blend with each other. This way the spirit disengages itself little by little from its bonds. They unravel, they do not break. And knowing a spiritual doctrine like Spiritism could be very useful for the soul in this transition back to the spirit world. According to our friends in question 165, the spirits already understood their situation beforehand. However, this is not all, because the practice of good and purity of conscience exert the most influence. The spirits were very wise on mentioning this, because oftentimes we think that, okay, just knowing is enough, right? Oh, I know so much about Spiritism. I know so much about the spirit world. But what am I doing with all this knowledge? I know all of Jesus' teachings. But what am I doing with them? Am I actually practicing them? Am I really being an example of Christian? So there is no point in knowing without practicing. It is imperative that we practice all of these teachings as much as we can. That's why the spirits say practice of good and purity of conscience exert the most influence on us. In the spirit world, the spirit will analyze their actions in the previous existence, reflect on them, prepare and study as much as possible for the next life. Prepare and study, yes, because by studying we can avoid making the same mistakes. Because as we learn through Spiritism, we tend to make the same mistakes over and over, sometimes for centuries, making the same mistakes. That is why it is important for us to study and to prepare before each incarnation, so that we can also progress in areas that we did not have the opportunity to do so. But there are also cases like that many of us here on earth where it is necessary to repair things we did in the past. Because despite being okay now, we've done many things in the past that if we looked at, we would probably not be very proud of, but we did. And this is where reincarnation plays a key role. According to the spirits in question 167, it is an expiation because we need to repair those things. The spirit reincarnates until it is clear of its impurities, thus being able to go to other stages in different worlds. As per question 172, we have passed through various worlds in the universe, and that the incarnations on this globe are neither the first nor the last, but they are one of the most material and farthest from perfection. Spiritism confirms Jesus' teachings that says, there are many rooms in my Father's house. So all the worlds in this universe are inhabited. All the worlds. And we are far from being the only ones, the privileged of creation. For our progress, therefore, it is necessary that we go through several of these worlds to acquire knowledge in all things. We do not have to incarnate in every single one of them because, as the spirits tell us, there are worlds in which they are in the same evolutionary range. So there would be nothing new or different for us to learn. And in these multiple journeys, by experiencing very diverse existences, we also inhabit several bodies in both genders. We have been in male and female bodies several times. In question 200, Allan Kardec asks, are the spirits male and female? To which the spirit responds, not as you understand it. Because gender depends on organic composition. Love and sympathy exist among spirits, but they are based on affinity of sentiments. In question 201, Kardec inquires about the new existences, asking, can a spirit who has animated the body of a man animated the body of a woman in a new existence, and vice versa? The spirits say that yes, we can. So now I'm inhabiting a male body in the previous existence. I could have been inhabiting a female body, and the next one back to female or male. It'll really depend on the plan for this life, on God's plan for me, right? Because we do need to remember that the material body is like an instrument. It's a tool that God has given to us for a short amount of time for us to work in our improvement as immortal spirits that we are, right? So we're all here working towards perfection, or we should be working on that, right? So, and as question 202 anticipates, what guides us in the choice of the gender are the trials and new opportunities that we're going to live so that we can acquire experience, so that we can grow, and then from there start a new chapter in our lives. Our goal is to compete for the harmony of the universe and act as ministers in fulfilling God's work, God's will. Spirit life is a continuous occupation. Spirits are always busy, are always working. Jesus is our model and guide, and he never ceases to work. He's always working. We are his task. We are his work. He's working to guide us, to support us, to protect us, to inspire us, right? God has trusted Jesus, these souls here, so that he could assist us and guide us in our path to perfection. Spirit life is a continuous occupation, but it's not as difficult as that of earth because it's not subject to corporeal fatigue or the anguish of need, our spirit guides say. And no matter how far or close we are to perfection, we all do play a very important role in the universe. We all do. God, again, has a plan for each one of us here. We have lived for countless centuries, and we still have a whole lot to experience. May our Lord Jesus guide us and help us throughout this journey, inspiring us. And may we do our part by seeking to study more of his teachings, to learning more of what his morals are, to learning more about Spiritism, right? May we try our best to do that, to study, and more importantly, to practice what we have been asked to do. Trying to leave behind the past with all of our vices and issues that we all have, and opening up our hearts to the light of Jesus and moving on, captivating even more the sympathy of those spirits sent from the above to guide us on this path to perfection. Because each and every one of us, we do have all these spirits guiding us, inspiring us, and protecting us all the time. They're there for us. But are we there for them? Are we looking for their support? Are we asking for help in this pathway? So this is something for us to think about and to really reflect on this point, because this, again, is one of the main points of Spiritism, the inner transformation part that we have all been invited to work on. For more information on this subject we have discussed today, please read Allan Kardec's Spirit's book. This theme, again, is very broad, and there you'll find many answers and excellent material for reflection. There are 1,019 questions to the most diverse topics for us to study over and over. Because again, it's not only studying, but as well practicing. Okay, that's it for us here. May Jesus bless each and every one of us in our journey. We are not alone.
Thank you, Thiago. It was really amazing, fantastic lecture, and it was a really wake-up call for everyone to keep studying Spiritism, keep studying and practicing, and to get our ultimate goal, that's our evolution. So I'm going to keep you here a little bit.
Yeah.
We're going to have a Q&A session now. We're going to get questions from the audience here in Vancouver and also from our Facebook, from the CSC Facebook page. And we do have the first question. It's regarding prayers. Could you please tell us about the importance of prayers within this path towards our evolution?
Prayer is definitely a tool that God has given to us to support us during this pathway to evolution, for sure, because oftentimes we are faced with so many different challenges and struggles that we do need some support. And through prayer, we can establish that stronger connection, that stronger link between us and the spirits. And they definitely listen to every single one of our prayers, especially the ones that are made through the heart, that we actually put our effort into talking to them, into asking them for support and guidance. But it's also important to thank them for all these opportunities of growth that they have given to us, right? Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to grow without these opportunities, without these challenges and struggles. And we do remember something that St. Augustine says on the Gospel according to Spiritism, which is very just on the final, on chapter 28, St. Augustine says something very interesting that we would like to briefly read, that says that prayer is a divine mist that destroys the highest heat of passions. So prayer is an important ally to fight the passions of this world, right? The firstborn daughter of faith, it leads us to the pathway that takes us to God. Oh, that's the answer pretty much. What that St. Augustine says, that prayer leads us on this path towards God, right?
Perfect. We do have 3 questions from our audience here in Vancouver. The first one is there a limited number of times for reincarnation?
Nope. It can take as long as we want. It really depends on us. That's what the spirits are often telling us, and we can read in the Spirit's book, especially in the second part, that there is no limit for incarnations, right? It'll really depend on us. Sometimes it could take centuries for us to reincarnate. Sometimes it could take years, but it'll really depend on how committed we are to our plan of growing spiritually, right?
The second question is, can you explain how can Spiritism help us to bear the challenges of life?
It gives us hopes and consolations, right? It gives us hope on the future life, on the future, right? So we know that all of these difficulties and challenges are temporary, right?
Okay. The last one is, you said living here is a way to learn and evolve. Why can't we do it in the Spiritist world?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. So you said living here is a way to learn and evolve. Why can't we do it in the Spiritist world?
Why can't we do it in the spirit world?
I think we're always evolving, even in the spirit world, right?
Yes, we are, but we will only put into practice what we have learned when we reincarnate, when we are inhabiting a human body, when we go through all of these trials and expiations, right? Reincarnation is an important step in our evolutionary progress. God knows it. That's why we reincarnate. Otherwise, there wouldn't be necessary to do so, right? So that's why it's important to reincarnate, to put into practice all of these learnings.
Okay. Pablo, do you have any questions from Facebook? Okay, I think we're done with Q&A. Okay. Anyone here in the audience? No, I think we're done with Q&A. Yeah. Just a reminder, we apologize if we don't have enough time to explore more the subject and questions and etc. So we invite you to visit us at the Allan Kardec Vancouver Society website and also follow the CSC's Facebook page,
which is facebook.com/Canadian Spiritist Council. And yeah, and our Facebook as well, it's at Allan Kardec Vancouver.
Yes, and would like to remind you too that we're going to resume at 3:30 p.m. East Time, live from Calgary with the lecture Moral Loss by Eric Meneghini, and you don't want to miss it. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back again in a few minutes.